Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We will be doing an online council meeting again. This is a special meeting. So the way it's going to work is we will be voting through our AllNet system. We won't be casting our vote by hand or by voice. We will be doing it online, and then the CAO will announce how the vote went, if it was in favor or defeated, carried or defeated, sorry. So we will start. So I will call the meeting to order. Do I have a mover?
Belanger.
Councillor Janine Belanger, thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Ron Mamchuk.
Councillor Ron Mamchuk, thank you. I will ask council now to cast their vote online. Mr. CEO, are we still going?
Still waiting for one to come in.
That's me.
While we were waiting for the vote, I will just, I'll do introductions because I missed it. We have Councillor Janine Belanger with us, Councillor Ron Mamchuk with us, Councillor Curtis Clayton with us, Councillor Shane Pelche is with us. We have our CEO, Mitch Duval, and I believe our Assistant CEO, Dominic Lemoine, is on with us as well, just not with video. And myself, okay. Mayor Chris Ewan.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Meeting open at 1:10 p.m. Number 2, bylaw 3-2020, tax levy for 2020, first reading. Do I have a mover?
Ron Mamchuk.
Councillor Shane Pelche moves it. I believe it was seconded by Councillor Ron Mamchuk.
Yes.
All right. So council has with them a copy, 3 pieces of documents in front of them. They have the financial plan, which is a 19-page document. And then they have a copy of the bylaw 3-2020, which is basically the wording that goes with the 2020 financial plan, as well as the minister's letter that we received late last week. In regards to the 2020 financial plan, the first document, that document is a 19-page document, and I'm not going to go through it word by word, column by column, but just quickly on each page. Now, the first page is the title page. Second page is a summary of the revenues and expenses. The third page is a detailed list of the revenues. Pages 4, 5, and 6 are your operational pages for the municipality. Pages 7, 8, 9, and 10 are your utility expenditures and revenues, which are separate from your regular operational costs for the municipality. Page 11, the 11th page, is the calculation of the mill rates. So there's assessment data, dollars, which then converts into mill rates. The 12th page is a grants in lieu listing, as well as all the conditional grants that the municipality is anticipated to receive throughout 2020. Page 13 is basically the page that calculates your general municipal mill rate based on the dollars that are required. Pages 14 and 15 are the debenture pages, which are debt still owing by the municipality. And just a couple notations there that we have one debenture that will expire at the end of 2020, and then we have another one at the end of 2021, and a third one at the end of 2022. So our debt load will start to decrease over the next 3 years. The next 2 pages after that are your capital purchases and capital projects, whereby it illustrates all the all the items that are intended to move ahead in 2020, as well as to where the dollar expenses related to those projects, as well as to the revenue sources as to where we're going to be getting those monies from to pay for these expenses. And then on the last page is the 5-year estimated capital plan. And this is an estimated capital plan for 5 years. It's nothing that is set in stone. We don't know what we control for the next 5 years, but it is a good indication to council and the municipality as to where we want to move ahead with certain projects. So that is the 2020 financial plan. Now, if you flip over to the bylaw documentation, that's the wordsmithing that goes with the 19 pages of numbers. So if you want to look at page 2, we will start going through that very quickly. The number 1 is all the school levies and provincial levies that are requested by the province and the local school divisions. Number 2 is we've broken down the mill rate for the assessment that we pay the assessment branch for. Number 3 is a debenture for local improvement in the Ile-des-Chênes area for the water system. Number 4, similar debenture, but for the St. Adolphe water system. Number 5 and 6 are specific mill rates that raise a general sum of dollars for the machinery replacement reserve, as well as the fire equipment reserve. Number 7 is that we have a little area out by the Niverville area, St. Agathe area, whereby those people have a commitment to pay into the Niverville Sporting Arena, so that our dollars raised on those specific properties out in that area. Number 8 deals with the garbage and recycling collection that we have for our waste management. Number 9 is the $18,000 for trailer fees for the park in Ile-des-Chênes. Number 10 and number 11 are regarding local sewer improvement districts for the Ile-des-Chênes and St. Adolphe area. Number 12 is regarding the Manitoba Inter-Industrial Park debenture. That's the CanAgra plant in St. Agathe, and that's the one that will be expiring come 2020. So we will not have this on our books for next year. Number 13 is in regard to a water service project that we have on the books, and that amount to be levied. The number 14 is regarding the TC Energy building and the geothermal system that we have in Ile-des-Chênes. Number 15 is the one that we look at for our general mill rate, the 6.869. But as we know, we've added the machinery mill rate, the fire department mill rate, as well as the MIP mill rate. All those will add up to the 7.95 that council has discussed. Number 16 and number 17 apply to the St. Adolphe Ring Dike expansion, and 2 parcels are responsible for those on its own. And number 18 is the fire hall debenture. If we scroll down to the last page, and this is where council may want to provide a little bit more input regarding the matter, but as in the past, our due date for taxes has always been October 31st. Due to the pandemic that is going around, there has been some municipal talk from other municipalities that those with earlier due dates, such as the city of Winnipeg, Brandon, those June deadlines may get pushed back. But when it comes to due dates of October, nobody's changed their minds at this point in time. They are still holding on to the October due date. And if things will get worse with the economy and worse with COVID, there may be a recommendation later on to postpone that October 31st due date. But for now, my recommendation to council would be to leave that as is for October 31st. The other discussions, of course, deal with number 2, which are the penalties. So if you don't pay your bill as of October 31st, you will incur a 1% penalty on outstanding balances. And number 3 is your discounts for people who do want to take advantage and pay their taxes up front. The recommendation and what has been done in the past is the 1.5% in June and 1% in July. The last document is also a letter that we received from the minister. I will not read it word for word, but in the gist of it, it's a recommendation to take into account COVID as municipal councils are going through their budgets. So I will turn it over to council.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Just before I turn it for questions from council, I just want to recognize that our Chief Financial Officer is with us as well, Mr. Thomas Thompson. I apologize for not introducing him earlier, but he is there. If council does have any questions, I will open it up for them to discuss right now. Council, is there any questions, comments?
I have a question that just once the budget is passed, maybe this is for our CAO, how quick do those tax bills get released and delivered?
Very good question, Councillor Boulanger. This is the first reading of the bylaw. Of course, we need second and third reading as well. But in between time, we also have to hold a public hearing regarding the process. So what I have calculated is that if council does proceed with first reading today, we're required by section 420 of the Municipal Act to advertise for a public hearing and host that public hearing. We would be looking at Tuesday, May 12th as a possible date for that public hearing. Once we go through the public hearing, and if there's little to no change on the budget, then council could then proceed with second and third reading shortly thereafter or at that meeting. I would always recommend to councils to wait a couple days, take the feedback in accordance, and we will re-meet and give second and third reading. Once the third reading is done, the office prepares all the paperwork that's required, and we ship it into us. We then fall into the queue of the public, but usually if that's the case, it's about a 2 to 3 week. So it is anticipated that by early June, we would have the tax bills ready to go out.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just comment on a follow-up comment on Councillor Boulanger's thing with the early to mid-June release of that. Do we want to maybe, because of the delay, because of COVID that's going around, do we want to maybe push the opportunity for a discount from 1.5% in June, 1.5% in July, and then 1% in August because of the situation? Is that an opportunity council would like to review?
Well, that's what I was thinking. If we're not going to get our tax bills by until mid-June, that only, yes, you can pay it right away, but you got to be pretty organized. So it'd be nice to have the discount go into July and August, like you say.
I think that's a good idea. I'm not opposed to that.
Councillor Mamchuk?
I'm good with that.
It sounds okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that sounds to me like a friendly amendment to the bylaw. So what that section will read then, if I'm correct, is that the discounts for June and July will be 1.5 and the discount for August will be 1, correct?
Yeah.
That sounds right, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else council would like to discuss or topics to bring up regarding the mill rate, the assessment, anything in between there?
fine from here.
Good on my end.
Yeah, I'm good here.
Yeah,
Okay,
same.
perfect, thank you. Again, I think 7.95 mill rate, I think that's a consistent as last year. I believe that there's no change. I am happy to see the growth in assessments. I think that the community, commercially, residentially, industrially, is doing well. Economic development is sustainable here in Richshot. Again, this is only the first reading, so I look forward to hearing from any public engagement or input. Seeing as there's no other questions from council, I will ask council to cast their vote online. The line is open. Mr. CEO, you'll let us know when everyone's casted their vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. I will move on to adjournment. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Clayton?
Councillor Clayton moves it, seconded by
Councillor Belanger?
Councillor Belanger seconds it. Any questions before I go to adjournment? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. Online, please cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. We will adjourn the meeting at 1:24 p.m.